All right, joining us now to further unpack the red weather warning level warning is, of course, SABC News meteorologist Mduduzi Mthembu. So, Mduduzi, a very good afternoon to you. We understand now, of course, that the Weather Services has just issued, of course, that red level wildfire warning. What does this, in essence, mean for those areas that I've just mentioned in that particular region?
Well, Alicia, the warning that was issued by the Weather Service is in addition to the already issued warning by them again, which was there in place since yesterday, of those conditions favorable for the development and spread of wildfires. So what it means is that the conditions that are necessary for it to be conducive for the development and spread of wildfires is when the temperatures are very hot, as it is currently there. So in other places, it is reaching as high as 40 degrees. It is also very dry in the atmosphere, meaning that the wind is also going to be quite strong. So the winds are coming from the northwest direction, meaning they are coming overland, meaning that they're also enhancing the dryness, because if they were coming from the ocean, they would be carrying moisture, and therefore the dryness would not be there. So the winds are favorable coming from the northwest direction. The temperatures are also very favorable, and then the atmosphere is also dry. And then additionally, the ground there as well is very dry, because you'd remember that in that part of the country, it is currently their dry season. They only get rainfall in the winter season. So because it has been not raining even in the winter season, it means that there is quite a lot of dry vegetation on the ground. And therefore, combining those three weather conditions and the dry ground, it means that the conditions are very favorable for the development and spread of wildfires in those parts of the country.
And how long is this warning in effect, Mdu? Because I understand it's been put in place until Saturday. Can you confirm that for us?
Yes, I can confirm that the conditions will be there in place up until the end of the weekend. In fact, there was a cold front that passed earlier in the week, and behind the cold front, the wind tend to change from the coastal areas into the interior, meaning that if the winds are coming from the interior, firstly, the temperatures will be hot and the winds will be strong, and therefore those conditions, if they persist all the week, all the way to the weekend, it means that we're expecting these conditions to be in place for the remainder of the weekend.
I mean, but how do even communities in these areas, because we know, Mduduzi, that these areas are actually very prone to such fires, in particular around this time when it's actually a hot and dry season. But how do they even prepare? Even the municipality themselves, they find themselves working against the clock to try and stop the blazes, but they just simply couldn't because of the raging conditions.
It is very important to educate the community and work with the communities as municipalities. They all have the disaster management part of them. So if they work together to teach the community that when the conditions are like this, people should not start unnecessary fires, especially in informal settlements, because people will continue using fire as
and it takes a
normal.
single spark.
And it takes that single spark, it can cause a damage to the whole community. So if there is a proper education and also getting the information from the right sources, from the South African Weather Service, they are there to warn the public if the conditions will lead to wildfires. And then also preparing. It's not a surprise that there is fires now. It is the fire season.
Yes.
And therefore, the municipalities should prepare, have the right resources, the fire trucks, and the people that will be extinguishing the fire, working with the communities, using the disaster management plans, so that when there is incidences like this, they know where to evacuate the people. There are halls, and then also there is evacuation plans so that they are able to do the necessary actions when there are fires.
Absolutely, and we're just grateful, Mdu, that at this stage we haven't received any, of course, reports of any injuries or fatalities. Mduduzi, thank you so much for, of course, that enlightening information. Mduduzi Mthembu is, of course, SABC News meteorologist. They're just also explaining the latest red level wildfire warning that has since been added to the previous fire warning. So we do, of course, encourage our viewers to pay special attention, especially if you live around these parts, that we understand now that there has been this latest report that the Nelson Mandela Bay, the Sundays River, the Ndlambe, the Kucha, as well as Kokama municipalities have, of course, received this red level wildfire warning, and it will be in place right through until Saturday.